Do you want to know a shocking statistic? Only about 24% of Americans between the age of 18 and 34 have an estate plan in place. That could even just include a will. I think this is really a problem. I mean, if you have young children, who's going to take care of them? And how are you going to provide for them if you're not here? And if you need medical decisions made, how will those be made? So estate planning isn't just for old people anymore. It's beginning to matter more and more to adults in their 20s and 30s. And here's why it should matter to you. So sometimes I get asked, how old do you need to be to have an estate plan? Well, it's really not an age. It depends more on what assets do you have, where do you want those assets to go, and who will receive your stuff and how will they receive it. And you need to put all this together before you die or become incapacitated. Now, most people live a bit longer, but we never know how long we're going to live. And if you know for sure exactly when you're going to die, then please take me to Las Vegas. We'll do some gambling and we'll make a lot of money, because really nobody has that kind of crystal ball. So for those of you who can't predict the future, like me, I want to break this down for you. So in California, you can have up to a certain amount in your name. It's $184,500 and still avoid probate. Now that doesn't really include a house. So if you have a house, you need to have a revocable living trust to avoid probate. For all other assets, if you total up those assets and they're less than $184,500, then you probably don't need to go through probate, but you should still have payable on death accounts named. Now, I've done a video on the importance for avoiding probate, and I'd like you to watch it after you watch this video. So now, if you have a revocable living trust, then you also need something called a pour-over will. And this is basically a cleanup document that says, if I forgot to put something in the trust, then somebody can go to court and bring a petition to scoop up that asset and pour it over into the trust. Also in the trust is where you could name guardians for your young children. Okay, so if you have any minor children under the age of 18, you can nominate guardians for them in your will or in a separate guardianship nomination form. We like doing the separate form nowadays because it also applies if you're incapacitated, whereas the will only applies upon your death. And I have a video just on who to name as guardians, because I found that naming guardians or nominating them holds up a lot of people from doing their estate plan, including me. In fact, let me tell you a story about that, okay? So when I was a little bit younger, in my mid-30s, I got married, and then my husband and I didn't really have anything. And then we bought a house, which was great, but we didn't really care where the house went. And then we had a kid, and we were just trying to sleep through the night. And then we had another kid, and boy, sleep was kind of impossible. And then a few more years went on, and we couldn't decide on who would be guardian for our kids. So we were kind of at this standstill. And it was at that point that I met with a life insurance professional. And we were talking and networking and doing different things. And then at the end of the meeting, he goes, "So Ellen, you have your estate plan together, right? You have your trust." And I said, well, not really. And he looked at me, and I remember he said, "Ellen, how can you be such a hypocrite? You're having other people doing their estate plan, but you don't have it done yourself." And I was like, "Oh, you're right. It's so true." So I went back to the office and I drafted up my own estate plan. I usually suggest people don't write their own estate plan, but since I specialize in this, I drafted my own. I had my husband come down. We signed it. We chose guardians. Even though we weren't super happy with who we chose, at least we chose somebody, because somebody is better than nobody, right? And we got it done. And that was like 8 years after I started practicing in estate planning. So I don't judge anybody for not having done their estate plan. But let me tell you, when you're younger, sometimes it's harder to see the need for doing your estate planning. And I understand that very well. Now, I also want to talk with you about something that's difficult to talk about, but it's about incapacity. So what happens if you're alive, but you're really sick? Some horrible thing, some sort of horrible accident hits you, right? You're in a car accident, or you have a stroke while you're hiking. I actually had a client who was 35 who had a stroke while he was hiking, and we had to go to court to get a conservatorship over him because he didn't have these two documents that are so important: a durable power of attorney, and an advanced healthcare directive. Anyone who's age 18 and up and has capacity should have those documents and sign them. So those are two things that you cannot overlook, all right? Those are must-dos. So make sure, if you're watching this video, make sure to get a durable power of attorney so somebody can sign on your behalf for your finances, like paying your bills and calling insurance companies, and then also sign your healthcare directive so somebody can talk to the doctors and access your medical records, right? Both of those are super important. And I actually have videos on those two things, on durable powers of attorney and advanced healthcare directives, and I suggest you watch them.
Hey everyone, if you like my mom's video, like and subscribe.
So one objection I often hear is, well, I'll do my trust when such and such resolves itself in my life. Or, how do I know that my life situation isn't going to change soon? So why don't I just wait? Well, here's the thing. We call trusts, these types of trusts, revocable living trusts. And what that means is you can amend it at any time. You can change it. It's living and breathing. It's supposed to change and adapt as your life situation changes. So we usually suggest that our clients check in with us frequently to see if anything's changed in your life, if you've gotten married or divorced, if you've had a child or somebody in your family has died, if you've acquired more assets, or maybe you have a company that's gone public. Any of these things could greatly influence your estate plan, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do your estate plan to begin with. You should get it done and then modify it as time goes by. Finally, if you're younger and your parents are still alive, I encourage you to talk with your parents about their estate planning and make sure that all of their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed. I can't tell you how many times I've looked over an estate plan for parents, and the parents are pretty sure that they know what's in the estate plan, and they don't. Something's in there that they thought was different. Maybe they had told the attorneys to make a modification that just never got implemented. We don't know. So you want to make sure that your parents, that their estate plan is really accurately reflects everything that they want, and also that it's funded, that they've put their assets in the trust. So really, I view estate planning as multi-generational. When one person in the family does their estate plan, now it's time for the parents, the grandparents, the adult kids, everyone to look at their estate plan and make sure that it flows properly and it functions well for the happiness of the entire family. Now, you might want to talk with your parents about incorporating something called a Dynasty trust into their estate plan, which ultimately can benefit you. So the way this works is they leave your inheritance into a trust that's called a Dynasty trust. And why would they do that? Well, you get some great protections from that. So if you get married and then divorced, then all of the money that you inherit remains your separate property, and it doesn't get segregated and divided with your spouse. Also, if you get sued, there's a high level of protection. And finally, there's some good estate tax protection in Dynasty trusts. And I actually have a good video on Dynasty trusts that I encourage you to watch right over here. So it's never too early to get your estate plan done. Of course, your life will change, but a revocable living trust will grow and change with you. And it'll be ready when you need it, because we're all going to die at some point. Please make an appointment with an estate planner that you trust, and you can start on this very important journey. Thank you.
Hello everyone. If you liked my mom's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all next time.